Let me ask you a question. What would be possible for you if you could stop doing all of those manual tasks and your business ran on autopilot? In this interview series, I talked to some pretty amazing women about how they run and automate their businesses. So if putting your business on autopilot is of interest to you, then stick around and let's get into it. Welcome. I'm here with the fabulous Renee Hribar. My name is Jacqui Money, and I'm a systems and automation expert. I help introverted solopreneur coaches and service providers scale their businesses with custom automated back-end systems so that they don't have to hire a huge team or work more hours just to make more money. Welcome, Renee.
Thank you so much for having me. How are you today?
I'm awesome. How are you?
Very good. It's a much different weather here, right? Detroit in South Africa. I love the internet for bringing us together like this.
I know, it's amazing. It's cold there, right?
It is at the moment. Yes. I feel like it probably would always be cold in relativity to where you are.
Absolutely.
So thank you for interviewing me. For those of you listening, my name is Renee Hribar, sales coach, TEDx speaker, author. I have a mastermind. I have courses, programs, but the whole point of me being online as a sales coach is because of how I grew up. I grew up with a mom and a grandma and another grandma and a couple aunties that were entrepreneurs, but they didn't have the resources or the support that they needed really to be able to grow those ideas. You know, my grandma was an Avon reseller, and then the other grandma was a writer, and the other one had chickens, and one was a hairdresser but had ideas for her own products. My mom was a Wrigley sales rep but had a Christmas tree farm, and then she had a greenhouse where she sold geraniums. But these were small time operations, but they were doing it because they were looking for ways to serve the community but also earn a living. And so today our communities are so much bigger, right? I'm in Detroit, Jacqui's in South Africa. That's our community. And so with the internet today, there's so many more options for women to feed that entrepreneurial spirit, whatever they choose to do. And so I have brought my 20 years of sales experience, having a sales agency for many years, being a professional salesperson, even having a beverage company for a period of time. I bring that to the online space to be able to help women expand and grow their entrepreneurial ideas. So thank you for having me today, Jacqui. We make a great team, right? You do all the automations and back end. I'm on the front end. It's a match made in heaven. So I'm so glad to be sharing my story with your audience today.
Absolutely. I love it. And so tell me a little bit about your business.
Yeah. So I started this business, this online business. This is my third company. I started this business 5 years ago, maybe a little bit over 5 years. 2017 is when I officially incorporated it. So in 1996, I opened up my first company, my sales agency, where I bought the Detroit territory for a very high-tech client of mine, SkyTel Sky Pagers. Which back in 1996 was high tech. You know, you could get an alphanumeric, you can get words sent to your pager. I mean, that was pretty big. You didn't have to go to the payphone to answer your messages. So rappers, doctors, and drug dealers, that's who my clients were. No kidding. So they hired us and my team to go out and go business to business and offer these SkyTel Sky Pages to businesses. And then we also had the ability to sell them to the individuals that worked with the businesses. And that is what started my tech telecom silo. And so my agency was known in the industry as the feet on the street for companies like AT&T when they rolled out and they bought out all the baby bells in the United States. And then Quill when they rolled out their other actions because they knew that catalogs weren't working anymore. And then when Intuit started credit card processing, so QuickBooks. So I remember going into businesses being like, I have this credit card processing machine. Now you can accept credit cards. And the biggest challenge was like, why would I want to accept credit cards?
So we actually, the two of us are dating ourselves with this conversation.
I'm okay with that because that was real life, right? That's how it worked. And so I understand how to overturn objections, how to create a sales conversation so that we always have a way back in. when I had these clients, they would basically send me all their marketing materials and be like, here, sell this. I'm like, okay, this is not a sales pitch or a sales process. What are your sales goals? I mean, just sell as many as you can. Okay, that's also not a sales goal. And so these are big companies, right? So if you're an entrepreneur listening to this and you're like, I don't have a sales process, I have a lot of marketing, but I don't think I have a sales conversation either. And wait a minute, having a sales goal, that's a thing. Then don't worry. Big companies don't have them either, but that's what I do. So by having a goal and then taking the marketing and creating the sales process so that there's a meaningful sales conversation that we can continue to have, that's what I do. And I've been doing it since 1994, really, but 1996 for myself. And then I sold that company. I sold my territory and I had 300 employees. I had 5 locations. So we were doing great. And I was so burned out because I was working so much. I literally sat on a yoga floor for like, I don't know, 18 yoga classes a week. And the owner of the studio was like, are you here to like buy the studio? I'm like, no, because I'm driving up in my Benz. You know what I mean? Like I just made a shit ton of money. And so, you know, he's like, who is this woman? She definitely does not fit in here. She's not a yogi. I was just trying to like center, ground, breathe, relax. And church wasn't always open. So I was like, I need somewhere to go. I cannot be home. I don't know how to do that yet. So I was really just like decompressing. And so the owner of the yoga studio offered to have me go into his yoga teacher training. I mean, you know, for $3,000. It wasn't like it was free. So I said, sure. And I got my yoga teacher training certification, and I learned a lot about breath and our body and how to connect. And I was so disconnected. And so that brought me to another level of understanding about processes, people, conversation. And 2 of my students in my class were PhDs. They were professors at at Wayne State University, a local university here in Detroit. And if you were going to become a doctor, medical school, you would inevitably have the measure professor. Well, since academia does not pay that well, they were also moonlighting at Henry Ford Hospital as lab rats, as they call themselves, but they were doing some cancer research with ORAC, which like ORAC scale berries, basically. Michigan is in this 45th parallel that is really good for growing cherries and blueberries. They took what was local, and they created a combination, a blend, a juice blend that they were like, if people drank this every day, this would put their body in a state where cancer couldn't live, right? Now, saying these things is obviously controversial. So we couldn't just go out with the marketing like, hey, this is like prevent cancer. They couldn't say that. So we had a lot of conversations with Michigan State University, FDA lawyers, and they brought me in as a consultant to help them sell it. And so again, I got a lot of information that I had to turn into a sales process that could make a meaningful sales conversation that could then create an environment where people would buy and buy and buy. And so within about 18 months, I had us in 180 grocery stores.
Wow.
Small chains, like chains that have like 5 or 6 locations each, because I was able to just walk in, talk to the owner, or I mean, eventually talk to the owner pretty easily. They were there, you know what I mean? It wasn't like Whole Foods. They were in like some ivory tower over here. And then we went to a big food show called, Food Show East. And I sold a bunch of cherry juice. And then I sold the purchase orders to our competition because we knew we couldn't fulfill. We didn't have it set up. So all that to say, that's a second company, right? So like, just again, but the same rhythm is we have a lot of marketing. We have this accomplishment we want to do. We want to sell this many units or sell this many widgets. Well, there's got to be a road. There's got to be a bridge. There's got to be a pathway. How are we going to do it? And so that's what I've always done, is taken the marketing and built the bridge to the meaningful sales conversation using a very structured sales process that I could do and anybody could do. Because if I got 300 reps, I was the main teacher. We didn't have online learning portals back then, So teaching in Sell Like a Mother, my program, is very comfortable for me because that's what I've always done. And then now being into the online space, I'm like, there's online learning portals, there's automations, there's emails that can get served out, text messages that can get served out, reminders, but I'm still also not afraid to DM somebody, like a student, to say, hey, we have a position today.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's about my background and my experience and how I kind of came to this point today. Does that help answer the question? Probably. And then some.
And then some. I loved it. I love your story. And So what I kept on thinking about as you're telling your story is the fact that you have a process and you have a system in place. And that's kind of what I do. I love systems. I love processes. I love automation. I love all those things. Yeah. So I'm curious, in your current business, what was the first automation you put in place?
Awesome. Great question. An email automation. And I had never done that before. And it was I did it through Active Campaign. That's who I have still to this day. And it was, okay, they opt in for this, and then they get this email at this time, then this cadence, another day later, another 2 days later, another 3 days later. So it was a nurture sequence based off of a freebie. But that was the first one. And I tell you, from a salesperson's perspective, it was so freeing, because I knew that once they connected with my company in this message, this free training that I was giving them, that they would get those touch points that I typically would have had to do myself personally, like, hey, how's it going? You're on day 2. Hey, how's it? Instead, the email was able to nurture them without me. So it was as if I had 20 or 30 or 100 of me being able to support the people that were coming in. So I was able to really open the floodgates to let hundreds of people in, thousands of people in, to that freebie, to that free sales training, to open up into my world. And then the email automation would take over from there. And for a lot of people listening, that feels like that's easy. But I tell you, it was life-changing for me. And that was the real beginning of me being like, what else can I automate? How much can I automate? Let's automate everything, but without losing the personal touch. And that's the real balance that I think you're really brilliant at.
Yes, absolutely. And I want to automate everything, but I do know that you have to hold back a little bit, and some things actually should not be automated. But I love that you brought up the email automation, because that is something that you can absolutely automate and continue to automate in different ways. And I love that you said it's freeing, because that's exactly what automation does. It gives you time back.
Yes.
Right? When you're doing all the things manually and you're spending all the time, with automation, you can actually get that time back, so that it is freeing. I love that. And so, did somebody do that for you? Did you learn how to do it yourself?
It's a great question. So I had wanted to learn how to do it myself, which slowed me down. I was like, I'm going to do it. I see the benefit. I'm going to do it. I see the benefit. I'm going to do it. And then, like many things that are very good ideas and very important, they just get bumped, right? Because I didn't really know, there was too many questions in my head. I didn't really know what I was even looking for. If I was to look for a YouTube video on it, which is like my MO, oh, YouTube's going to have the answer. They do have the answer to a lot of things, by the way, but not this. And so I ended up one of my clients was like, please, for God in heaven, just let me do it for you. So I paid her to do it, and it was done in like a day. I was like, wow, how'd you do that? She's like, it's easy, because it was easy for her. So it was worth I think at that time I paid her $500. It was like 5.5 years ago. And she just did it. And she, uploaded the 4 emails, and she actually edited them a little bit for me. Thank you. Put links in there, and it was great. So I paid some.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And I often find with this kind of thing that you are looking for, when you're searching for something, it's oftentimes not that the information's not available, it's that you don't know what to ask Google.
Right. I don't know how it applies to me specifically. Like, once I open up, okay, what's an API stream key? I didn't know where that was, like little things like that. I was just like, what? It would have taken me, it would have taken me forever. I would never have finished it. So it was easier just to pay for it. And I'm so glad that I did. It was like buying back my time. And I wish that I had someone shake me by the shoulders and have me do it sooner, because it would have been better if I it's one of those things you're like, oh, I should have done this 10 years ago, So if you're listening, know this.
Absolutely. Yeah. I agree. So then you've said kind of what the automation's done for you personally. It's given you time freedom. Yes. But what has it done for your business?
Yeah, so it's allowed me to fulfill a vision that I thought I had to do everything in. So there's this, great mantra, and there's a book about it. It's, who, not how. Like, not how do you do everything, because there's no way for you to fulfill your vision if you have to do everything. It's just not possible, right? You don't go to the local ice cream parlor and like the owner is the guy out front, like, if your name is Amanda, come in for a free ice cream, and then also runs inside, scoops the ice cream, and then also cleans the bathrooms, and then also orders, and then also does the books. That's not realistic. That's even if the local ice cream shop's not doing that, then why are we? Right? How can we expect to fulfill our vision? So what it allowed me to do from my business standpoint is fulfill my vision of impacting thousands versus just, one person at a time. It allowed me to grow a business and make a bigger impact in the world. Again, it was just with a freebie initially. And then when I learned, oh, I can do that, and then I can do that. And there's still things, Jacqui, that I want to automate, or that I realize, oh, I can automate that, or oh, it's time to automate it. And it's really exciting.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And then one more question.
Yeah.
Tell me what your top 3 favorite automations currently are in your business.
I love it. So the first automation that I had done is still my favorite, because it allows me to unabashedly know that if someone comes into my business for my free sales training, they are going to be cared for, right? They are going to be taken care of. And that invites them to my free community, which is another place that I spend a lot of time. The second automation I love is the fulfillment emails. So I have a program, that's how we met, called Sell Like a Mother, and it's all about selling for yourself as an entrepreneur. There's differences in the mindset around it and the processes and what's possible, and it's very systematic and very like slice, like, here, do this in 10 minutes, now you're done. Do this in 10 minutes, now you're done. So I know that I have a lot of emails in that fulfillment sequence, probably like, you're like, yeah, I know. At least 60 emails in that fulfillment sequence for a program that is really something people can use forever, but it allows them to say, okay, oh, I got another email from her. Oh, okay. I better go in and check. Oh, okay. And so the fulfillment email sequence. And then the third one is an automation about failed payments, because as you grow your business, you don't want to chase invoices, right? And so people's credit cards fail, they change. There's all kinds of reasons why their credit card would fail. The bank would be, didn't understand or whatever. I mean, there's 1,000 reasons. So it's not always like, you don't have the money, give me your money. It's often just a reminder like, hey, listen, it bounced, no problem. It's going to resubmit in 72 hours, but you can also just pay now. Here it is.
Yes, I love that. I love the failed payments automations, because it's also something like a mental thing. If you keep on seeing the failed payments come in, and you then have to go and ask for the money.
Yeah. No fun.
Yeah.
No fun.
I love it. Renee, thank you so much for being here. I really, really love chatting to you. And I'm going to pop all your details in everywhere for everybody to find and see. But thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Jacqui. It was a pleasure.
Let me know in the comments below if you had a magic wand and could automate the part of your business where you are spending the most time. What would that be? If you want to check out more videos like this, where I talk about how to put your business on autopilot so that you're not working more hours or hiring a huge team, be sure to subscribe to this channel, and I will see you in the next video.